What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to give you guys a very quick update about Tesla stock and what's happening with the broader markets. I'm also going to give you guys a quick update about Elon Musk and President Trump. Just know that I am not a financial planner. Anyways, I just want to inform everyone that I'm going to be going on a trip this weekend, so I might not be available to record a video tomorrow. I will be back in the evening. If I get time, I will record the video in the nighttime or the evening tomorrow if I get time to do that. If I don't get time, then I will for sure be back on Monday before market opens. So I just want to inform everyone about that in case you don't see a video tomorrow. It's not that anything bad's happening to me. I'm just basically going to be on a road trip. So just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. Anyways, as far as the market's going, I'm going to record this as of the time I have, right? We are currently in the afternoon period of Saturday. And based off the news we have, I'm going to be a little bit wary of Tesla because of what's happening with Elon Musk and President Trump. So first off, President Trump is saying that Elon Musk is going to be facing serious consequences if he funds the Democratic candidates. Not the best, at least for Musk, if he's continuing to threaten him. And then President Trump also said that his relationship with Elon Musk is over. That's not the best of news as well. So that's what we've heard from him today. And I also have more updates from yesterday evening from President Trump and Elon. So President Trump basically said that his relationship with Elon Musk is over and that Elon Musk has greatly disrespected the office of the U.S. president. Just to be clear, President Trump is really angry right now at Elon Musk. He's saying a lot of things. Yesterday in the morning, okay, Musk and Trump were supposed to have a meeting. At least a phone call is what I mean. But President Trump said that he's not particularly interested in talking to Musk, although he says Musk wants to talk to him. That's what we heard yesterday morning. Now, this is all happening after their feud that started with President Trump's spending bill. Elon Musk was not happy about it because of how it's going to be increasing the US federal deficits, whereas President Trump is in full support of it. So, over that disagreement, it led to a big domino effect where President Trump criticized Elon, and then Elon criticized Trump, and then it just went back and forth for a while. Then President Trump started to threaten Tesla, saying that he's willing to cut Tesla's subsidies and Elon Musk's contracts. Not the best of news. And then Elon Musk threatened President Trump, saying that if he wasn't around, President Trump wouldn't even be president. And they continued to argue over all these different things, and it eventually got really tense as Musk started bringing up more things, which I don't even want to mention on this channel. It's just really crazy. So there's this big feud between them, and the feud is still continuing as I'm speaking. We have more things said by President Trump. He was giving some speeches, and he kind of like shifted between talking about Jerome Powell and Elon Musk. First and foremost, President Trump said that he was not interested in speaking to Elon Musk. He claimed that Musk wanted to speak to him, but he's not interested. Then President Trump claimed that prices are down, income is up, and things are looking very good as gas prices are coming down. And he's saying that things are looking very good for the US. Then he said that when it comes to Elon Musk, when they were asked if he wanted to speak, President Trump once again said he's just not interested. And then Elon Musk said that he wants President Trump to be impeached, or at least he suggested that Trump should be impeached and that he should be replaced by JD Vance. I think he responded to someone's tweet when he said that. So that's what Elon Musk has said. So once again, the feud continues. Then President Trump repeated that with what's going on with interest rates, he thinks that they should be reduced. He mentioned, and he actually said something very different. President Trump said that if inflation comes back, then keeping rates like this is permissible. He basically said that he is going to agree with what Jerome Powell is doing if we see inflation go up. But right now, that is not happening. President Trump is saying that inflation is down. Europe has cut 10 times. The US has not cut, and he's not happy about it. Inflation is looking very good under this administration, according to President Trump. He's saying that prices are going down, gas prices are down, and Jerome Powell needs to cut a full point. He's saying that that's what he wants to see. He's saying there's virtually no inflation anymore, and we need to see Jerome Powell cut rates even more. And then he continued to say that he wants to see us reduce the rates on our debt and that we need to see borrowing costs go down. So that's what President Trump is saying. So let me just mention that President Trump is not correct to say that prices are going down. They're not actually going down. Inflation is what is slowing, at least to some extent, given the data we're looking at. But the thing about inflation is that it just measures the rate of change of price. So when inflation goes from like 10% to 2%, that just means that prices go up only 2% instead of 10%. So prices are going up at a slower rate now compared to before based off our data. That's not the same thing as saying all prices are just going down. But despite that, President Trump does have a point to say that, he thinks that Jerome Powell should cut if we continue to see inflation go down. But if we start to see inflation go up, then Jerome Powell has been correct to keep rates the same as is, right? That is the honest truth. So it is what it is. We'll just have to see what happens with inflation. Does inflation start going up in the upcoming months? If it does, like many reports are suggesting, then yes, that could be bearish for the markets. If not, things could still be okay. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Then yesterday in the evening, Elon Musk said that he wants to see a new political party for America to represent 80% of the middle. 80% of Americans in the middle is what he's referring to. Then he said that he wants a new political party again. President Trump then said that if we had a good Fed share, he would lower rates, and then he is open to replacing Jerome Powell. He also said that they're making lots of progress on a deal. And then President Trump started speaking about Tesla. He hopes that Elon Musk does well with Tesla. But unfortunately, they're considering cutting Elon Musk's government contracts. They'll have to look into everything just to be fair. But he's saying that they're considering cutting the contracts. So, not the best of news from President Trump. And that's pretty much what we've heard so far. So now, the threats are just continuing. The arguing is continuing between them. Not the best of news. There is some good news, however. President Trump and his team have said that his negotiations with Xi Jinping during his phone call went very, very well. And during Monday, we have President Trump's officials, his team, they're going to be going to London and they're going to be negotiating with Chinese officials on trade. So if we get some good updates, that could still be bullish for the markets. So that's what we're looking for, at least thus far. That's what's happening. That is some good news. If we get some good news from China, the market could try to bounce. So as far as Tesla's going, I'm a little concerned because President Trump is threatening to cut Tesla's contracts. And the reason why Tesla dumped this hard is because number one, okay, there was this big feud between Elon and Trump. Number two, you have to remember that there was lots of bad sales data in Germany, the UK, even the Chinese made sales were down. And then the other thing about President Trump is that many of these Tesla investors knew that the robotaxi is going to be the much larger catalyst for us for the long term. And the positivity around President Trump's presidency was built around the possibility of President Trump reducing regulation on AI, right? That's what President Trump was talking about so much. So by reducing regulations, we could have passed a robotaxi faster, and that would help Tesla in a lot of different ways, and that would in turn help them build more billions in revenue a lot faster. And that's why Tesla's investors loved President Trump having a good relationship with Elon. It gave Elon Musk an edge in the White House. But now that that relationship is over, according to President Trump, now that Musk and Trump don't like each other, it does make things a bit more complicated. I think that's part of why the market dumps the way it did, because now, Elon Musk and Tesla don't have that bigger edge in the White House anymore, right? We don't really have that advantage. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come down to fill this gap at 285. But the question is, can Tesla make a higher low? If we can make a higher low compared to like 270, it is possible we kind of consolidate and come down to fill this gap to like 285 to 282. And then we'll see if we bounce back up to like 310, which is where the 200 EMA happens to be. But if we fail at 285, we could be jumping back down to lower levels like 270. So we'll just have to see how it goes if we continue to fall and we fail at 285. So you want to be very careful as time goes on, but overall, we'll see if we get some kind of balance move right here back up towards that 310 area. So it depends. I do think Tesla might come down a little bit more to retest 285. So please be very careful with it during the weekend. But then we could be looking for a bounce if we make a higher low. If a lot of this news involving Elon and Trump is priced in, we could still see some kind of bounce move. As of right now, at the time I'm recording this, it is Saturday afternoon. I don't know what's going to happen on the news on Sunday and then Monday morning yet. I will be back for sure on Monday morning and maybe tomorrow night if I get time. So we'll see what ends up happening with the news. There could be a risk of us coming down to fill this gap before we try to bounce if we see some kind of dip. And as long as we can make a higher low or bounce off 285, we could be looking for a test of 310 after that. That's the move I'm essentially looking for on Tesla. For the rest of these, I'm going to be kind of quick about this. So SPY has a rising wedge. Rising wedges are ultimately more bearish, but for the short term, they could be bullish, meaning that we could continue to uptrend in this wedge pattern for a while before we see this thing turn back down, right? That's what could be coming on the current setup. We have kind of like a cup and handle like structure, so we're still technically looking bullish. If SPY loses 595, we get some bad news over the weekend or on Monday, it's possible, yes, we could be dumping towards the lower levels. But so long as we're above 598, as long as 598 holds, we're favoring the low 600s. That could be pushing us even higher for another higher high and higher low, which is bullish for stocks. Right now, we are favoring consolidation than upside for the 600s if this continues, and we'll have to see how things end up going from there. For the QQQ, we're also looking a bit more bullish. We're trying to make higher lows. So as long as you can make higher highs and higher lows, we're looking pretty good. So we made a higher high right here, higher low, higher high, higher low. And if we end up losing this blue trend line, we could be dumping back down to like 520 or below if we end up losing 525 on the QQQ. As long as we hold above that, though, we're favoring 535 or above as the most likely possibility, kind of like a cup and handle. We're still bullish. We look very, very bullish. As long as we don't lose this blue trend line, we are looking bullish. We need a bad piece of news for us to lose it. We're not getting that as of right now. So for now, we are still favoring 535 or above on the QQQ. For the IWM, I think we have a very similar setup. We look bullish. We need to lose 207 to turn back down to 203. As long as we're above that, we're favoring consolidation, then 215 or above as the most likely possibilities. Let me go back here for 1 second. ES has the same setup as SPY. We have a nice cup and handle. We need to hold 6,000. If 6,000 holds, we're going to be looking for an attempt for 6,050. Now, if you want to be bearish, you want to see us essentially lose this 5950 area. If that fails us, we could be tipping a little bit lower all the way down towards 5900. So if 5950 fails us, we're going to be more bearish. And as long as we hold above this range, we're looking more bullish. Overall, we're making higher highs and higher lows. So just keep that in mind. As long as 6,000 holds, we're going to be looking more bullish for 6,050. So we have this cup and handle. And I think that we're looking more bullish. So long as we hold above 6,000, we're going to be favoring 6,050. There's a good chance that we see some more upside. For NQ, if NQ ends up losing 21,556, we're going to be looking for a dip back down towards this low over here. As long as we're above that, we're looking pretty good. I do like this cup and handle like structure right over here. It is possible it comes down a bit and consolidates around 21,687 to 21,800. But if we could break and hold above 21,800, as long as that holds, we're looking for 22,000 as our target. So I'm favoring consolidation than 22,000 as our potential target. Bitcoin has an inverse head and shoulders. We could be looking for 107,000 as our target. Tesla, once again, has a gap to fill. It might be coming down a bit before it tries to bounce. So it could be filling the gap to about 285, and we'll see if some buyers defend once again to push us back up towards the 300. So we could dip here, then try to bounce, as there's so much potential. As long as we don't have way too much bad news involving Musk and Trump, so far I think a lot of it's kind of like priced in. Nvidia needs to break. It's kind of range bound, by the way. If we break 144, we're looking bullish. If we end up losing 138, we're a little bit more bearish. Also, this blue trend line, if that fails us, we're going to be looking bearish. I'm favoring that we're going to consolidate like this, and then we'll see if we break out higher as long as we can hold support. So we're still technically making higher highs and higher lows, and we'll see how it goes. Aapl is looking a bit more bullish. We're making higher lows right here. If we end up breaking 207, we're going to be looking for an attempt to get back up to 210. If we end up losing 202, we're looking for a dump back down to 198. So overall, we're doing a fantastic job forming a nice accumulation here. We're favoring a test of 207 on Aapl, and we have to see if we could break this 200 EMA over here. This is a tough resistance. So I do think we might consolidate, and we'll see if we break higher or not. But I do think we test 207, and we'll see if we break higher or not from there. I'm not going to go over everything in this video. I do have very limited time. So for AMD, if we end up losing 114, we're bearish. As long as we hold 114, though, we're favoring 118 to 120. As of right now, we're favoring that 120 area. So keep that in mind for more potential upside. For ARM, we're forming a nice accumulation. So long as we don't lose 130, we're going to likely try to push for 135. For Coinbase, my concern is that there's a head and shoulders like pattern developing on this. So with this left shoulder, head, and right shoulder, if we break 253 and hold it, we're looking for 260. If we reject there, we're looking for that gap fill to the low 240s. And if that fails us, we're looking for 230 or below. Amazon's looking bullish. We have a very nice looking inverse head and shoulders right over here, a left shoulder, head, and then a right shoulder. If we were to lose 208, we'd be more bearish. And as long as we hold above that, we're favoring an attempt for like 220. So the inverse head and shoulders looks bullish, and 220 is very possible. Meta has a nice inverse head and shoulders as well. If we end up losing like 680, we could be dipping more. As long as we hold this, we're favoring upside. So I'd like to see us break 700 to continue this inverse head and shoulders to get closer to all-time highs. Meta to me looks very bullish, but we need to see 700 hold to push for 710 plus. As long as we don't lose 700, if we failed 700, we're looking for 680. As long as 700 holds, we're looking for 710 next. Google looks more bullish. We're favoring these highs up here towards 176, as long as we don't lose 171. And Microsoft is kind of consolidating here. It might consolidate a bit before it starts pushing for like 472.5 again. If 470 fails, though, we're looking for a test of 465. As long as it holds, we're looking for 472. So I see some consolidation and maybe some more upside if that breaks. The VIX has a falling wedge, but technically it's bearish for now until we start breaking past 18.73. So for now, it's still bearish and the market still has some more upside potential for the time being. Tesla could come down a bit with all this talk between Musk and Trump, but then we'll see what happens if we come down to fill that gap. I want to see us make a higher low. As long as we can make a higher low here in balance, we're going to be looking better. If we start losing like 275 to 270, I'm going to be more bearish. But as long as we hold above that, what could happen is that we dip a little bit more, we fill this gap down here, then we eventually try to bounce. As long as we can make a higher low over here compared to this low, we could be looking for a bounce on Tesla because a lot of the news could be priced in. If we get some good news involving a China deal, that could also benefit Tesla. So we'll see how things end up going. Of course, I can't make promises right now. It depends on what comes out in the news, especially for tomorrow and etc. But I just want to give you guys the latest update I could do given my limited time this weekend. So we'll see what happens with Musk and Trump. We'll see what happens with bigger news. Always look at the bullish and bearish cases and be prepared for anything in case something goes wrong. But as of right now, we look more bullish. Thank you for listening. Have a good weekend, guys, and peace out.